The average American thinks they're worth around $400,000. The actual number? $192,000. That's not a rounding error. That's an entire house worth of delusion. There's one number that tells you exactly how rich you are. Not your salary. Plenty of people earning six figures are one bad month away from panic. One number. Most people have never calculated it. The ones who do usually need a drink afterward. That number is called net worth. And calculating it is embarrassingly simple. Take everything you own, subtract everything you owe. Whatever's left, that's you. That's the real you. Stripped of the job title, the leased car, the apartment you're renting with exposed brick and a coffee machine you financed for some reason. But here's where it gets interesting. To calculate that number, you have to know which things in your life are actually worth something and which ones are quietly eating you alive. In finance, those two categories have names: assets and liabilities, and the definitions are simpler than anyone makes them sound. An asset is anything that puts money into your life. A liability is anything that pulls money out. That's it. No formulas, no jargon, just which direction is the money flowing. A rental property depositing $2,000 into your account every month? Asset. An index fund that's up 40% over 5 years? Asset. A bond paying you interest while you're asleep? Asset. Money moving toward you. Your leased BMW, $580 a month, gone. Student loans, $420 a month, gone. Credit card balance compounding at 22% APR, silently, aggressively, gone. Money moving away from you. Simple enough. And yet people get this wrong constantly. My house is my biggest asset. Maybe. If someone's paying you, absolutely. But if you're paying a $3,000 mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance every month, and nobody's paying you, then your house isn't working for you. You're working for your house. Could it be worth a fortune when you sell it in 15 years? Sure, but right now, the money arrow points one direction, away. My car is worth $40,000. Your car was worth $40,000. It lost $8,000 the second you drove off the lot. It'll lose another $4,000 this year. Add insurance, gas, parking, maintenance. Your car is a beautiful climate-controlled hole in your wallet. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. Everything in your life is either feeding you or eating you, and most people are surrounded by things with very big appetites. So if most of what we buy is secretly eating us, where do the things that actually feed you live? Think of it as a map. 6 territories. Each one plays by completely different rules, carries completely different risks, and attracts completely different types of people. Let's walk through all of them. Territory 1. Stocks. You buy a piece of the machine. When you buy a share of Apple, you're not placing a bet at a casino. You're buying a microscopic sliver of a real company. Their campus in Cupertino, their supply chain, their pile of cash, the next product they haven't announced yet. A tiny fraction of all of it legally belongs to you now. You make money 2 ways. Either the stock price goes up, you bought it $150, now it's $220, congratulations, or the company hands you a slice of its profits directly. That's called a dividend, quarterly cash just for owning the thing. Sounds great, and over the long run, it is. The S&P 500, basically a basket of the 500 biggest American companies, has averaged roughly 10% a year over the last century. No other major asset class comes close. But here's what that average hides. In 2022, that same S&P 500 dropped almost 20%. Netflix crashed 75% from its peak. Individual companies can go to literal zero. Ask anyone who bet big on Lehman Brothers in 2008 and woke up the next morning to nothing. The trick with stocks is painfully boring. Time. Over any 20-year stretch in the history of the S&P 500, the market has ended positive. Every single time. The people who got destroyed in 2008 weren't the ones who held through the crash. They were the ones who panicked and sold at the bottom.
Stocks reward patience. They punish impatience with surgical precision. Territory 2. Bonds. You become the bank. Stocks make you an owner. Bonds flip the script entirely. They make you the lender. When the U.S. government needs money, it borrows from you. You hand the Treasury $10,000, they hand you a promise. We'll pay you X% interest every year and return your $10,000 on this date. That piece of paper is a bond. It's an IOU from the most powerful institution on the planet. And some institutions have better track records than others. Switzerland has never defaulted on its debt. ever in its entire history. Not during World War I, not during World War II, not during any financial crisis in between. That's not a flex, that's just Swiss people being Swiss. Corporate bonds work the same way, except you're lending to companies, Microsoft, Nestle, whoever. Slightly riskier than lending to governments because companies can actually go bankrupt, but the interest is better. The trade-off is obvious. Bonds won't make you rich. A typical U.S. Treasury yields somewhere around 4 to 5%, but they also won't give you a heart attack. This is where you park money that you absolutely, under no circumstances, can afford to lose. Now, stocks are exciting and volatile. Bonds are calm and predictable. Both are things you can buy and sell from your phone. The next territory is nothing like that. Territory 3, real estate, the oldest game on earth. Land, buildings, physical space. People have been building wealth with dirt and concrete since before money was even invented. And the core logic hasn't changed. They're not manufacturing new land. San Francisco isn't getting wider. Helsinki isn't adding extra coastline. Zurich isn't building a second lake. You make money two ways. Rent, someone pays you monthly to live in or use your property, and appreciation, the property itself becomes worth more over time, especially in cities where everyone wants to be and nobody wants to leave. But real estate has a brutal bouncer at the door. You need serious capital to get in. Even a down payment on a modest apartment in a halfway decent city can be $50,000, $80,000, $100,000. And once your money is inside, it's trapped. You can't sell a bedroom. You can't liquidate a bathroom. Moving a house takes months, sometimes years. That is, unless you skip the house entirely. REITs, real estate investment trusts, let you invest in property the way you'd invest in stocks. You buy shares of a company that owns office buildings, apartment complexes, shopping centers. You earn rental income as dividends. All the upside of real estate, none of the "my tenant's toilet exploded at 2 a.m. energy. All right, stocks, bonds, real estate, those are the big three. The next territory is older than all of them combined. Territory 4, gold and commodities, the doomsday savings account. Gold has been valuable for 5,000 years, not because it's useful, you can't eat it, you can't build a house with it, it doesn't generate Wi-Fi. It's valuable because every civilization on Earth looked at this shiny yellow rock and collectively agreed, yeah, that's worth something. And at this point, that agreement is basically permanent. When things go sideways, war, market crashes, inflation spiraling, that general vibe of everything is falling apart, money floods into gold. It's the financial panic room. In 2020, when COVID turned everything upside down, gold hit an all-time high. In 2022, when inflation was devouring everyone's purchasing power, gold held steady while stocks got crushed. Central banks from the Fed to the Swiss National Bank sit on thousands of tons of the stuff for exactly this reason. But gold has one major flaw. It doesn't do anything while you hold it. No interest, no dividends, no rent. It just sits there, looking expensive, waiting for you to sell it to someone willing to pay more. Gold is a bunker. It's not a farm. So far, we've covered things that grow your money, things that protect your money, and things that pay you for owning them. The next territory does none of those things, and yet it might be the most important one. Territory 5, cash, the comfortable trap. Cash feels safe. Your savings account, your checking account, dollars you can see and spend instantly. And sure, cash won't crash 50% overnight like a tech stock. But cash has a slow, invisible enemy, inflation. If your savings account pays 3% interest, but inflation is running at 5%, and lately it's been running hotter than that, your money is shrinking in real terms every single year. $100 today buys a little less next year, and a little less the year after that. It's like a slow leak in a tire. You don't feel it on Tuesday, but 3 years later, you're riding on the rim. Cash exists for one reason: emergencies. 3 to 6 months of expenses, sitting somewhere boring and liquid, waiting for the day you need it fast. A layoff, a medical bill, a situation where you need $10,000 by Friday, and "let me sell my apartment" isn't going to cut it. Beyond that, every dollar sitting in savings is a dollar that could be working somewhere on this map. And then there's the final territory. We're not going deep into it today, but you should know it exists. Territory 6, the Wild West. Crypto, Private equity, venture capital, fine art, vintage watches. Yes, people genuinely invest in watches. This is the frontier. Massive potential, massive chaos, and the general energy of someone at a party telling you about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity while holding a drink they can't afford. We'll explore this one properly in a future video. For now, just know the map has edges, and beyond those edges, things get weird. Okay, so you've seen the map, 6 territories, but knowing the map exists doesn't automatically make you rich. The difference is what you do with it, and that comes down to a choice that most people never realize they're making. Let's take 2 people, same age, same salary, $90,000 a year after taxes, same city, same starting point. We'll call them Jake A and Jake B. Fast forward 10 years, Jake A does what feels natural, gets a raise, upgrades his life. Nicer apartment, newer car, better restaurants. He's not being reckless, he's just living at the level he feels he's earned. Every time his income goes up, his spending goes up to match. Economists have a name for this, lifestyle inflation, and it is the single most efficient way for high earners to stay broke. 10 years later, Jake A makes $140,000. His lifestyle costs $138,000.
He has almost nothing invested. He's one layoff away from a very difficult conversation with his landlord. Jake B earns the same $90, but before he spends $1 on anything, he automatically routes 20% into investments, $450 a month into an S&P 500 index fund, $300 into bonds, $250 into an international ETF. The rest goes to living, and he lives well, just not loudly. He doesn't check his portfolio obsessively, he doesn't try to time the market, he doesn't panic when stocks dip. He sets it up once and forgets about it, like a subscription, except instead of paying for something, something is slowly paying him. 10 years later, Jake B has crossed $400,000 in investments. And here's the part that breaks people. A huge chunk of that isn't money he earned from working, it's returns on returns. Interest on interest. His money started making its own money. Somewhere around year 6, the snowball got big enough to roll on its own. Jake A traded a decade of great income for stuff. Jake B traded a little bit of lifestyle for something Jake A doesn't have: options. The option to quit a job he hates. The option to take a risk. The option to breathe. Which brings us back to the one number we started with. Net worth. Assets minus liabilities. That's the scoreboard. And right now, yes, right now, while you're watching this, you could calculate yours in 5 minutes. Open your Notes app. 2 columns. Left side, everything feeding you. Savings, investments, retirement accounts, equity in your home, anything with real, sellable value. Right side, everything eating you. Student loans, car payments, credit cards, mortgage balance, that $200 your friend lent you in March that you're pretending doesn't exist. Subtract. That's you. That's the real number. And the entire game, all of it, every financial decision you'll ever make is about pushing that number up. More feeders, fewer eaters. Every year, a little more separation between the 2 columns. It's not complicated, it's just uncomfortably honest. You don't need to become a day trader. You don't need to read earnings reports or understand what a derivative is. You just need to know this map exists, that your money doesn't have to sit in a savings account slowly evaporating, that there are places it can go where it works while you sleep, grows while you're not looking, and compounds while you're busy arguing about whether a hot dog is a sandwich. Most people never see the map. Now you have.